Assalamualaikum and greetings, Miss Sikin. We are from Group 2 and we'll be presenting about our topic called Conversation Analysis. Our group members consist of 4 people, which we have NABIHAH, SHAHIDATUL, NAJWA, ALESHA, and Zoe.
According to Shebov and Sachs in 1973, adjacency pair is a closely related pair. An adjacency pair is a sequence of 2 turns in conversation spoken by 2 different people. The first turn is called the first pair part or FPP, and the second turn is the second pair part or SPP. Importantly, the second turn is a natural response or follow-up to the first, which means the FPP will determine what SPP is expected to answer. For example, if the first person of FPP asks, "Do you want a cup of coffee?" a proper response by the second part or SPP will be, "No thanks" or "Yes, sure," which fits naturally as a follow-up. But if someone replies to the question with, "I'm cool," or "My kitchen is big," that would work as an SPP because it doesn't respond to the question. This shows that the second part of an adjacency pair needs to match or relate to the first part. On this slide, you can see common types of adjacency pairs that occur in daily conversation, which include greetings, questions and answers, offers, invitations, closings, and more. Now, let's focus on a few examples to see how they actually work in real conversation. First, question and answer. The question is, "What time is it now?" And the answer is, "It's 10 a.m. A question requires an answer. If someone replies, "I'm tired," it will break the adjacency pair because it does not respond to the question. Second, greeting and greeting. The first person says, "Good morning," and the second person must greet back by saying, "Good morning." This shows that the listener returns to greeting, which opens the interaction and acknowledges the other person. Third, invitation and acceptance or refusal. The FPP invites the SPP by saying, "Would you like to join us for lunch?" The SPP must answer with either acceptance or refusal, such as, "Yes, sure," or "Sorry, I can't." Fourth, closing and closing. The FPP says, "Okay, see you tomorrow," and the SPP replies, "See you, bye." When someone signals the end of a conversation, the other person usually responds with another closing to confirm that the interaction is ending. Fifth, summon and answer. When the FPP says, "Excuse me," the SPP must answer, "Yes." A summons is used to get someone's attention. The expected SPP is an acknowledgement to show the listener is ready to engage. There are 5 key features of adjacency pairs. 1. 2 utterance length. Adjacency pairs must have 2 parts, the FPP and the SPP. So if there's only one utterance, it's not a pair, right? The structure is incomplete without the second part. 2. Adjacent positioning. The FPP and SPP usually appear right next to each other. For example, A. Excuse me. B. Yes. If the response comes too late or after another topic, it breaks the pair's natural flow. 3. Different speakers producing each utterance. The 2 parts must be spoken by 2 different people. One person produces the FPP and another provides the SPP. 4. Relative ordering. FPP comes before SPP. The order cannot be reversed. The first part must come first and only then the second part follow. 5. Discrimination relation. The FPP determines what counts as suitable SPP. For example, a greeting expects a greeting. A question expects an answer. An invitation expects acceptance or refusal. These relationships help guide the listener's response.
Next, I will explain about conditional relevance. Conditional relevance comes from adjacency pairs, which are 2 utterances that naturally go together, like a question and an answer, or a request and a response. The key idea is this. The first utterance shapes or limits what the next utterance should be. It creates an expectation that the second person must give a relevant response. So if someone asks a question, we expect an answer. And if someone makes a request, we expect either acceptance or rejection. Once the first part is spoken, the second part becomes almost necessary. And Shiglov explained that when the expected response does not appear, it becomes notably or officially absent. This usually signals something meaningful socially, like avoidance, discomfort, or disagreement. Now, let's look at other examples to make this clearer. First, let's look at a typical or expected response. A. Can you help me? B. Sure. This is a direct answer that matches the expectation created by the question. It keeps the conversation smooth with no confusion. But sometimes, the response can be unexpected or indirect. A. Can you help me? B. I'm quite busy right now. This reply is still relevant because it addresses the request, but instead of saying yes or no directly, the speaker gives a reason. This usually signals something, like wanting to soften the rejection or avoid sounding too direct. Now, let's look at an example that we all experience at some point in our lives. Asking their friend for a ride. A. Boleh tolong hantar aku ke kelas kejap? B. Boleh je, jom. This is the expected response. Simple, direct and cooperative. But if B replies, minyak kereta aku tinggal satu bar je ni. That's an indirect refusal. It's still relevant to the question, but it avoids saying no directly. It shows hesitation and a softer way of rejecting the request.
And now we will be looking at preference organization, which refers to social solidarity that lies within one's interaction that determines whether to be supported or weakened. Preferred responses are typically simpler, whilst dispreferred responses tend to be marked by complexities including delays, preferences, and accounts. We have two types of responses, which are preferred and dispreferred. For this one in particular, we will be focusing on preferred responses, which are given out straightforwardly without any delay or hesitation involved, by producing an answer immediately and clearly. For example, this conversation right here between Amy and Jane, which Amy asks, "Would you like to come over tomorrow night?" And Jane says, "Yeah, that'd be nice." Another example that we can take a look at is between A and B, in which it says, "Would you like to join us?" And then B says, "Sure." So as you can see, it aligned with expectation, which is often short and direct. Preferred responses are given out straightforwardly without any delay or hesitation involved, which is often given out with confidence by producing it immediately and clearly.
Now let's see about these preferred responses. So their traits are that first, they tend to be marked by various kinds of complexity, including delays, prefaces, and accounts. Next, presence of delaying tactics in this preferred SPP decline. Also, no direct rejection. And finally, these preferred declines can be seen as rude or hostile. As seen in example 1, "Would you like to join us?" I would love to, but I already have plans. Let us move on to example 2. How about friends? Have you friends? I have friends. So-called friends. I had friends. Let me put it that way. Now, in example 2, B's answer is shaped initially as an agreement. I have friends. But this apparent agreement is then mitigated as it becomes clear that he or she does not in fact have any friends, with the addition of so-called friends and the past tense I had friends. Now we're going to see the linguistic cues of this preference. First, we have delays, which is to start the disagreement turn with tokens such as well, and Next, we have silence, which represent a gap in the continuity of the two parts of the speech. Moving forward, we have hedges, which is a linguistic device used to soften or express a lack of certainty in a statement. For example, I don't know. The fourth one is turn initial marker, which is words or phrases that begin or preface a turn, such as, well. And finally, we have an account, which basically retelling of what happened to someone's. Examples are, I have to go work tomorrow, and I got a lot of things. Last but not least, we're going to see the example of linguistic cues of this preference. You coming down early? Well, I got a lot of things to do before getting cleared up tomorrow. I don't know, I probably won't be too early. So this means that, well, is the delays or the turn initial marker. And then I got a lot of things to do before getting cleared up tomorrow is the account. Finally, we have, I don't know, probably won't. That is the hedges.
Here's the references we use for this presentation. Thank you for watching.